Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and you're welcome to the Business Visibility webinar powered by BoardPay. We have our facilitator, Tubosun Akeju, in the house. Tubosun Akeju, often called TA, is a reputation manager and a brand and marketing communications strategist with over a decade of experience. He provides organizations and brands with bespoke ideas that create a strong market presence and endear them, as well as the products and services to their target market and key stakeholders. He has developed brand strategies for companies in various sectors of the Nigerian economy, from oil and gas to real estate, financial services, and education. He's a three-time producer of Energy Week Conference, the largest gathering of energy stakeholders in sub-Saharan Africa. TA is the founder and managing partner of Seed, a marketing communications firm. He's a member of the Public Relations Consultant Association, PRCA, in the UK. He's also a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the UK. He's an alumnus of the School of Media Communication at the Pan-Atlantic University, Lagos. Please welcome Tubosun Akeju, TA, as he take us through how to attract your ideal customers. Thank you. The next voice you would hear is that of TA.
All right. Our learning objective is absolutely very clear. I want to first talk about a concept called marketing myopia. And I think that it's important for us to first address this very important, subject, which is about what? 40 or 50 years old as a concept from an Harvard professor, right? And he said, marketing myopia, is when a brand or a company thinks inward. They have an inward approach to marketing. Some of the simple or easiest way to describe this is you've created a product, right? And you've created that product without properly identifying who needs it or what problem you're going to be solving, right? And then you just want to take the product to market. As against the other approach, which is one of the steps in identifying your customer, right? So marketing myopia is that short-sighted and inward approach to marketing that focuses on, the needs of the business, which is a challenge. That's what happens to a lot of small businesses, right? Because you just want to quickly make money. I always say that, for small businesses, your action, the consequences of your action are so close to your bottom line, right? So there's that temptation to be very short-sighted, where you're just thinking of what can give me money, and you're not thinking, very broad scope. And you will see how this can affect, how to identify and then reach your ideal customer. So you can't create a product and then look for the audience later. You have to find what I call your one customer and expand the scope of your one customer. And you can expand the scope of your one customer directly and indirectly. You can expand the scope from looking for more of those type of customers, or delivering more services to that one particular customer. And of course, when I say one customer here, I do not mean one person. What I mean is one particular type of people. And I'll give you quite a number of examples as we go through the presentation. Now, so sustained growth depends on how broadly you can define your business and how carefully you can engage your customer need. Theodore Levitt, that's the Harvard professor that came up with marketing myopia. So how do we avoid marketing myopia? I think it's very important for us to first put this to bed. I have engaged quite a number of businesses, and I've come to realize that more often than not, people do not even really know who they are, they don't even know who they should be serving. They are chasing customer A when their ideal customer is actually customer C, right? So one of the questions you want to answer when it comes to avoiding marketing myopia is that what is the pain point, right? What is the gap in the market? What is our uniqueness? What is your company, your brand, your product's uniqueness in filling the gap that you've identified? Who wants and can pay for the service or the solution that you've now created to bridge or plug this gap, right? And what is the total addressable market? Because there are some problems that there are only two people that have that problem. And the two people, with that particular problem are not going to be able to pay you enough for you to stay in business, right? So you want to consider that, but you have to start from what is the pain point. So like I said, I'm going to be giving a lot of examples and case studies. Let's look at Chowdeck. What was the pain point? Chowdeck is not the first food delivery company in Nigeria or in the world. But what was the problem? They identified a pain point. The pain point was that it usually takes an awfully long time for us to get food delivery. An awfully long time. Sometimes, the hunger has actually even dissipated by the time the food comes. Because most of the time, we don't buy food when we are not hungry. We usually buy food at the instant of feel that we start to feel hungry. So you've ordered the food and it's taking forever. So that was the pain point. What was the gap in the market? The problem is not like other people did not recognize or other delivery companies did not recognize that, these customers were complaining about how long it took to deliver. It was because it became capital intensive to solve that problem. And because there was a macro issue of delivery, street address, and all of that in Nigeria, they couldn't buy motorcycle for everybody to make it faster. If they bought more motorcycle for people, the business then became, less profitable. So there was a gap in the market that somebody needed to solve the problem. So what was the uniqueness of Chowdeck in filling that gap in the market and solving the pain point? Chowdeck then did what I call route planning, rather. They brought bicycles into the mix. So if the distance between where you're ordering from and to you or where you want it delivered to, I think is less than maybe 5 kilometers or thereabout, then it's going to be bicycle. And if it is longer than that, then it's most likely going to be motorcycle. Now, the interesting thing is that more often than not, most people buy often from somewhere that is close to either their home or their office, right? And they brought that solution, right? And they had a uniqueness. They were founded and the founders were already integrated into the tech community, not across Lagos, in a specific area, GRA Ikeja. Right? So who wants and can pay for this? This was a problem that they often talked about in the office, right? So they focused on those who want and can pay for it. The tech, bros and tech sis were already getting paid well enough to be able to do this. So they were willing to pay for it. What is the total addressable market? Ikeja, GRA is not the only place where you have a large number of tech companies. There's Yaba, there's Lekki, there's VI, and they started that gradual expansion. This is not the only thing that they did, but I just want to use this to situate and give you an example of how you can avoid marketing myopia. They could have jumped into the market like every other, food delivery company. And then talking about expansion, they've now gone from delivering only food. And bear in mind, they didn't onboard only restaurants. They were onboarding some, I'll call them, for the purpose of this conversation, roadside restaurant, where they knew that, and I think all of us, we have those places where we say, just like the way majority of people, I want to guess everybody on this call, we know what Amalaska is in Ibadan. It doesn't have to be a fancy restaurant. They probably don't even have ACs there, but people go there to eat once in a while because they have cravings, right? Those things happen. Now, if you take these questions and ask it in the context I just did for Chowdeck, you will get some answers for your business. You will find out why those answers are important, right? Now, how to find your one customer, right? So if you look at what I explained about Chowdeck, there was the finding their one customer, that one company. As you probably already know, the founders came from, a payment solution company, right? Now, how do you find that your one customer? When I say one customer here, I don't mean like one customer, but like what does your ideal customer look like? You have to be able to do a combination of, it could be desktop research. It doesn't have to be a big survey and all of that. You just need to think about it first. You might need to commission a survey to be able to understand it better, but you need to think about it a little bit. Ask a few questions there and there, but look at it from a demographics and a psychographic point of view. Demographics will speak to, is the person single or married? how much do they earn on the average? Are they male or female? Where do they live? What's their profession? How old are they? Those very kind of definite answers, right? But there's the psychography, which is very important. Psychography is that what do they like? Netflix and chill, or going to the cinemas? Are they spendthrift, or do they really like to save, or are they like, they move from one salary to the other? Because if they move from one salary to the other, you want to intensify marketing around salary week. Do they enjoy vacation? Are they able to afford? What kind of vacation can they afford? You want that their behavioral patterns. Psychography speaks more to behavioral pattern, which sometimes can be very fluid. But as we go along the line, you will see why this is also important. So you want to understand, these things, right? Now, I like to use examples. So let's use psychography a bit for, finding your one customer. Let me tell you about the Facebook story. If you recall, how did Facebook start? It started from a college, right? Where you go for parties. When you meet somebody new at a party, you ask for the person's name, but you want more than the person's name, right? Because you want to quickly connect sometimes with people, and then at that point in time, there was nowhere to check more about the person. So you have to ask the person for what they like, what they do, and all of that. Somebody thought, Mark Zuckerberg thought, okay, if I create a platform where if I ask for your name, I can connect with you there, we can keep in touch, I can know the things you like, I can start to understand you better without stressing you with asking you all the questions and going on several dates before I can understand you. It was just a one customer problem. They solved that problem. And of course, the rest is history. Excuse me. I want to talk about Seed. Who was our one customer? When we started Seed about 7 years ago, or when, the concept of Seed came about more than 7 years ago, about a decade ago, it was companies were having too many agencies, right? About a decade ago, social media marketing or digital marketing was starting to peak, right? And companies would then have to hire a traditional PR company, hire a traditional advertising company, and then hire a digital marketing company. And corporate communications managers were faced with a daunting task. And sometimes, if they are very big on advertising, then hire a media monitoring company. They were faced with this daunting task of now managing 4 agencies. Trust me, it is not a walk in the park. I mean, I've handled projects before where you have quite a number of companies collaborating. Is a very daunting task, right? And we felt like we could solve that problem for the marketing managers who had, that problem of managing too many people. I have a background in traditional media. I actually cut my teeth in traditional media, but I've always had a thing for digital. And at some point, the problem was the traditional media they were not nimble enough to do digital. And the digital they didn't understand the principle, enough to execute flawlessly. But because I had a background in traditional and I've always had a thing for digital, I brought the nimbleness of digital and the principles and knowledge and fundamentals of marketing from traditional media. And that was my uniqueness. So I was you get me, you get the experience, you get the knowledge. Another thing was that industry knowledge was something that we had. And so we started with those people who we felt could pay what we wanted. And we started to look for them. Who are the companies with small, mid-sized corporate comms departments who needed external help that felt like a part of their company? And that's what we've continued to do. Of course, we've now expanded, to do more than that, but that's how we started. So we just were looking for those companies, small size, needed, wanted to solve this particular problem that we had. And we identified our one customer, and then we started to expand from there to have, the number of clients that we now have today. So you can course correct, right? You can, if you've created a product without considering who needs it, who wants it, you can go back and ask all those questions to be able to, identify who your one customer is. Now, how do you then reach your identified customers, right? Use the information when you do your desktop, dipstick, or extensive research from a demographic and a psychographic point of view. What do they like? Where do they watch? Which influencers do they follow? Are they more Gen Z than millennial? Are they in between? Are they influenced by Gen Zs? Are they on Instagram? There are some products that if you really want to sell it, just go to Facebook. Don't bother yourself with Instagram. There are some products you want to sell it. Your video should be on TikTok more than is on Instagram. Some you need to use all the platform for the different segments, right? You want to develop your key messaging, right? So if you go back to the seed story I told you about, our key messaging we started and still now, the ability to be able to tell clients that one, we understand both ways, so to speak, right? Two, we have industry knowledge, right? When we come into your company or when we partner with your company, we're going to show you the depth of the market, the depth, of understanding of the market. So we're going to speak to both your unique problem and the problem that everybody in your industry is facing. Because when you solve the problem everybody in your industry is facing, you become an industry leader. Going back to the story of Chowdeck, about 2 weeks ago or last week, Chowdeck announced that in this year alone, they've done 30 billion in transaction. Let me tell you why this is very interesting and unique, right? Jumia, who started in that industry, so to speak, is having major problem. I don't even want to go into that, right? But somebody has been able to solve a problem that was unique to that industry. Every e-commerce inclined business had that problem before, but somebody seemed to have found a way around it. You have to then amplify that key messaging. So we amplify the key messaging in the right quarters, because it's not enough, to just, identify your demographic and psychography, develop the key message. You must identify it in the right channels, right? Now, how to find your one customer. So, I said at the beginning that, I looked through the registration and I picked a number of companies, and I just really want to talk about these companies. I don't know if the representative of anybody from these companies are on the call, but I'm just going to go ahead with it because my colleagues have, we've worked together to be able to put this here, and I just want to talk through it. So there's Taros Blinks. I actually checked, I think will be the right thing, at Instagram. So I saw that she sells non-tarnished jewelry. Why is non-tarnished jewelry important? I jokingly said to my colleague when we're working on this together that the people that care about non-tarnished jewelries, I call them the pre-gold lovers. They love gold jewelries, but they can't afford it yet. So they will buy the lookalike, but they don't also want it to start to tan, right? So turning why non-tarnished jewelry, answering that question is part of your key message, right? Maybe not, I don't like to use the word affordable. Do you understand? Jewelries that don't break the bank. Jewelries that last but don't break the bank. I want to say something like that in my key messaging. It will be maybe in the closing of my videos or in the closing of my content, or it will be what I often tell people, so much that I'm going to say it to you so many times that people are going to start saying it back to me, right? They're on Instagram and TikTok. They go for weddings, they go for, events and all of that, and they're going to show what they're wearing, right? Jewelry care is very important to them. One of the reasons jewelry tan is also jewelry care. Do you spray? Do you use, do you allow your cream to touch it? Do you wash your hand with soap? Do you keep it while you're wearing it? How do you store it? So jewelry care is some of the things that are going to be, it will get them. So you not only create those content, but you also have to amplify it and ensure that you're targeting the right people, right? Showcase the people who are now using it, right? There's I think it's Pandora, is that the brand? They started this thing called sustainable diamonds, right? Of course, there is a lot of bad PR around the extraction of diamonds. So they started to make diamonds in the lab and they sell it. It's cheaper than the real diamond. But guess what? They positioned it for some people to be able to still pay premium for it, right? But it's not as expensive to extract. So who are the people wearing it? You want to showcase that, oh, The fact that it's not as expensive as gold doesn't mean that the people wearing it are riffraff. See the quality of the life of the people wearing it. So show your customers, if they allow you, and some of them will, and we will get to how to identify customers that will allow you. Show your customers when they wear it to parties, when they're on the red carpet, when they're feeling good, the events they attend. Show them, show people the quality of people that are wearing your jewelry, right? Because by showing them, you will attract other people like them. Reward the customers who talk about it, who tag you, reward them. Don't put them on the same pedestal as the people that won't post about you. Some people don't like to tell you where they go. That's fine. They're prerogative, right? But right, when you have limited editions, right, let them be the first to know that, oh, I have this new stuff. There are only few copies of them. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. And once in a while, try to have limited edition stuff. It's cheap, but create FOMO, right? And you will attract, because by doing, you're going to attract more people that are like that. The next brand I want to talk about is Happy Coffee. I'm not a coffee lover, but very interesting. I think about last week, chocolate bars, and I think they were from Ondo State. I was very excited about it. So seeing Happy Coffee also made me happy. Why? No pun intended. Happy Coffee, the real coffee lovers, not those people that just drink coffee because they're trying not to sleep, right? The real coffee lovers are particular about how their coffee is made. The latte, cappuccino, they're very particular. They're like real wine lovers. There's all the razzmatazz around how it's made, how it's poured, and all of that. They want to grind their beans themselves. They want to brew it. There's a lot of razzmatazz about it. Show them the razzmatazz. Do a coffee series that shows how to make all the different coffees, make jokes around it and things like that. Where do people drink coffee the most? Offices. Who makes the buying decision of coffee machines and all of that in the office? HR or admin, or HR and admin, whatever the case is, procurement. Find those people. What conferences do they go to? Where can you find them? And all of that, stalk them on LinkedIn, send them cold messages and things like that. Tell them how it can make people productive. They're probably your best bulk buyer, because once people, like, I know somebody that, our colleagues and associates know when she has not had coffee in the morning. She's constantly drinking coffee. I know someone that, it won't eat a lot, but it drinks coffee every time. We'll send his driver, we'll send somebody, please let me get a cup of coffee. And sometimes you see with that cup from like 10 o'clock to like 1, he's still sipping on it, put it in the microwave to warm it again and things like that. Find them. And he does this mostly in the office. I can't ever remember him ordering coffee to his home. Well, I don't know if he makes at home, but yeah, I see him drinking alcohol more at home than drinking coffee. Right. Make it part of end of the year gift to give more visibility. That's some ideas. Coffee making guide card, right? Let people, give it as part of your pack to say, oh, three different ways to make coffee. Then ask people to scan to get more ideas on making coffee, so that you can get their email addresses or their phone numbers, and you can push more stuff to them. You can reach out to them. There's this principle in advertising that people need to see things 7 to 10 times before they make a decision. Acquire the customers and then keep pushing to them. That's how you can acquire more. Somebody can come to their house and say, oh, how did you make that coffee? And say, oh, let me send you a card. And then they share the card, put discounts on it and things like that. This very last one, very, very interesting, right? And I don't know if the person is on the call, but this is not the name of the company, right? The name of the company is something, I deal with me, blah, blah, I think mining and steel, something. And the person said they're into waste management. Anyways, it was something enterprise, mining and steel enterprise. And the category they chose was waste management. And I'm like, one of the things the person is trying to achieve is reach HNIs, of course, amongst other things they're trying to achieve. And I'm like, if you go to an HNI and your company name sounds like your name, they're going to think that you're a one-man company. That's a key man risk. Can they trust you? If something happens to you, or if you're unavailable, is there any other person to take on to talk to? So how do you position yourself not to look like that? So I was like, you know what? I'll change the name of the company for the purpose of this conversation. And I changed it to AMS Waste Management. I did not remove anything. The aid represents the first and the last name, at least as the person wrote it. And the N is, maybe metal. Yeah, metal, and S is steel. And then you have AMS Waste Management. So sometimes this thing also starts from you understand the people you're trying to reach. You put your name there, they're going to think you're a one-man company, and the perception is going to affect how they continue to talk to you, right? So what is the source of the waste of these HNIs you're trying to attract? Is it construction, refurbishment? What is the source of the waste, right? Because you really want to understand where the waste is coming from, right? If it's construction, then you know that, okay, I need to go to site, this is the type it is. Why is this, why do they have this headache? You have to understand that who is taking care of it at the moment, because that person might be your gateway to getting them to make the decision to engage you. Where can you find more of them? You really don't want to talk to HNIs in silos, right? Because they can be hard not to crack. So sometimes the best way to talk to them is when they're in groups of their fellow HNIs, because you break through one person, you break through all of them. Right. There's more to talk about, but I just wanted to bring some of the things we've talked about home so that we understand. How do you expand to a basket of customers? I've been talking about one customer, excuse me. Excuse me. How do you expand to a basket of customers from your one customer? Let me tell you about what I call the innovation call. At the beginning, I talked about prudently using your marketing budget to reach your ideal customer. The innovation curve is one of the models that I like to use here. And, you have about 5 major people on the innovation curve. You have the innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. You see the chasm, right? Those ones, just leave them, right? You can't force them to take any decision. No amount of marketing usually will convert these people. They will move when they are ready. And sometimes they can be the first to quickly jump once they know it works. But let's not talk about them. They are usually in the minority. Let's talk about the innovators. The innovators are usually the ones to try new things. They will just jump at it. These people are good people to first have. They can help you learn how to refine your product. We all have them as friends, right? Some of them, like if your friends are millennials or old millennials, you'll find people like this. They're already on TikTok, making TikTok videos, like from the get-go. They've been there for a while. Then you have the early adopters, right? They are the ones who look up to somebody and like, oh, this is what they are doing now. This is what people do now. They are, like this is what the cool kids are doing. So now these people, I often sometimes call them sneezers. You know why? Because they will talk about it. I like to tell clients and anybody who cares to hear, this is usually, when you find this set of people, milk them. Because they will talk about it on social media. They will tell their friends. Because there's a validation that comes from using what is good. And you just want to encourage that habit. So you need to find them, right? You have the early majority. Sometimes our marketing targets these people, and it's okay to target them because they are the doubters. They are the ones that need to see it 10, 15 times before they make a purchase decision, right? Then there are the late majority. This, like, what are those people doing? What are they doing? Are they finished using Twitter? Or some of these people, I often say that if you say, oh, I don't know how to use Twitter, you're most likely a late majority, And then you have the laggards. Those ones just want to go back to Facebook. They're like, oh, it's too chaotic on Twitter. Why am I constantly posting pictures on, Instagram? Why is everyone dancing on TikTok? And like, I like my Facebook. Let me just go and, take care of my family and friends. You will find out how this applies to you as a business. If I go a step back to the businesses I talked about, Taros Blings, you have those customers that, when you have the unique earrings, they're going to post it. They're going to make a song and dance of it. And it's like, it's just hearing. Like, I didn't even think you would like it this much. Reward that behavior so that they can do more of it. Because the early majority are looking to them. I like to say that when you convert an early adopter and you get them to talk, the cost of acquisition of an early adopter, right, can be very, very, the return on investment rather can be very, very high. So the converting an early adopter and sweating them out can allow you to reach more people without continuously having, to pay them, or, paying them something that is a fraction of how much it will have cost you to acquire more customers. I'm not time, but I'd love to talk about Starbucks and Luckin Coffee. But there's a challenger brand in China, and they are giving Starbucks a run for it. Like I said, I'm not sure I have much time, so I'm just going to skip through this because I've kind of explained what I want to say here again, right? Innovation Corp, right? So you have to take advantage of your early adopters. I've talked about that. Incentivize your customer like to post on social media, amplify them on bigger channels, right? Amplify them. They already want to be seen, of course, with their permission. So amplify them so that people can see how they are using your product, right? Promote your reviews and use cases. Yes, how are people using your product? Show them, especially when they are your ideal customer, that can attract other people. Educate your customers, very important, right? Owned media gives us the opportunity. Raise awareness for your business, right? There's word of mouth. We've talked about testimonial. Put things in place that makes it easier to capture interest. Do you have a Google contact card? Do you have a feedback form? Do you have the names, phone numbers, email addresses? Sometimes, if it's personal, if your products are personal enough, birthdays, wedding anniversaries of your customers. Know your audience. Be consistent with your brand and tone. Don't sound hip today and sound, old tomorrow, right? Leverage social media, of course. That's why we're here. I've talked about the Google contact card, and then promote on when you've done your demographic and psychographic survey, you will understand if your customers are more on Instagram or TikTok, and then you know where to promote. One of the most underrated channel for promotion is actually WhatsApp status. Yeah, people underrate WhatsApp status, but it's one of the most effective if you have the right community. And it's also one of the ways to validate the type of people you have. Because if you post and nobody's engaging, that means they don't find that content relevant most of the time. And so you want to continue to test and see which one is going to pick people's interest so that you start to understand the kind of audience you have sometimes on your WhatsApp, or find the people who have that audience. We all have that friend that posts a lot on WhatsApp, and a lot of people will view their WhatsApp. Ask them to post for you. Now, I'm going to wrap up with understanding the conversion funnel. It's absolutely important for us to understand the conversion funnel, or else all the conversation we'll be having is going to be easier for us to just say it's not working. So what's the conversion funnel, right? I guess most of us are already used to this. When people make buying decisions, and if you take a step back and think of how you've made buying decisions in the past, you heard about it. It piqued your interest. You started to consider it. Then you started to check if it's valuable, should I do it or not? And then it's okay, you know what, let me give it a shot. Right? So I tell my clients sometimes, you've not created awareness, but you want people to start buying. You can't move people straight from not knowing about you to considering you. Like, they don't even know about you. How do they consider you? They don't know about you. How do they have interest? They don't even know that they have the problem you're trying to solve, right? So yeah, again, because of time, I just want to wrap up very quickly. But there are actions you can take across that funnel. When you're creating awareness, how can you create awareness? When I search for you on Google, can I find you? The number of businesses that registered for this that I searched for, I couldn't find. What's even more interesting that there are businesses who registered for this, excuse me, who have competitors that are using the same, they're not competitors, I take that back. But there are other brands that are using the same name as their brand name outside Nigeria, doing something completely different. Use your social media ads and digital ads to create awareness. Create awareness via WhatsApp status. They are also on page. Download your contact from your email and do an email blast to them. It's awareness. Pick interest. Write articles. Create content that shows that gives a user case of, this is how my product applies, this is the product, this is the problem or the solution, this problem is solved, or this solution it provides. Let people see what others have said about your product or services, right? Then make it easier to reach you. People often say no DMs, right? But I think there's a better way to say no DMs. You will get faster responses if you reach out to us on WhatsApp. Don't say no DM. Don't say things like, what's that other thing people say about prices? No prices, or I don't know, or no refunds. Find a more friendly way. Be approachable. You still won't do it, but just be approachable. You won't refund. We know you are selling baby stuff. They can't return it. So there's no refund actually. But just put the one in there in a very friendly manner, so that you can convert. Capture leads. How do you ensure that you're capturing when people reach out to you? What are the things you ask about them? They are simple customer relation management tools, right? That you can use. Sometimes use Excel, the name, what did the person buy? What did they buy? What other details did you capture? Can you send them a link to say, please fill a form? We really appreciate, give me your feedback. Can I capture your feedback and things like that? Do those things. If you're trying to please everyone, you're pleasing no one. So in marketing, if you're trying to reach everyone, you're not going to effectively reach anyone. And I also like to say, what got you here won't get you there. So keep growing. Thank you very much. And I think we can take questions.
Thank you very much, TA. That was an amazing session. Thank you. I learned a lot. I learned some new things, marketing myopia, the innovation curve, and all the different people trying to find a place to fit myself in for different new things that come up. So someone said customers hardly send questions, hardly send pictures. Do you want to speak to that?
Right. You're right, because they probably don't want to be. Then set up some of your friends to take those pictures. You understand? You can send your product. One of the things that I like to say that the principle small companies, there's a photo shoot. Let me look for a brand. Nike had a photo shoot for, celebs, athletes, and all of that. You don't have athletes, right? But you sell maybe some gym accessories for the purpose of this conversation. But you have friends that go to the gym. Go and learn like phone photography. Take a picture of them. Maybe follow them to the gym one day and just volunteer to record them. That's your own photo shoot. Escort one of your friends' weddings and take pictures of them and post it. I think we should just learn to understand the essence of some of this marketing action so that we can then find how to scale them down and do the same.
Thank you very much, TA. I don't know if anyone has another question. Okay, I see another one. How do we plan a marketing budget in this economy? With
Fantastic
a very
question.
sad face of emoji.
Fantastic question. Dr. Zara, please, what do you do? What do you sell? If you can just put it in the chat box, that would be great.
Right,
I want to be able to say that again.
I said, good afternoon. We do women's health.
Fantastic. Women's health. Right. Like, of course, you probably can read my face because I have the perfect answer for you. Health is one of the things that do not react to economic downturn. Right? It has an abnormal curve. You know what is called an abnormal curve in economics that says that, the fact that there's an economic downturn does not mean people will stop going to the hospital. When they are sick, they will go. They just might not come to your hospital. They will go somewhere else. Right? So, how do you plan a marketing budget in this economy? Everybody's scaling down. So find the most effective way to reach your customers that are very unique to women's health. The monthly cycles, right? For those who have babies, right? The implants and all of that. Where are the communities where you can find them? So you used to run Facebook ads of $100 before. Can you run Facebook ads of $30 to capture their contact details or more contact details because you've gated something? Say how to, let me use for the purpose of this conversation, effective ways of reducing menstrual pain. When they click the link, they just drop your email address or phone number. Yes, some people will fall off, don't worry. Capture those people that didn't fall off. Send them things, ask them to refer their friends, So what you've done is, instead of saying buy XYZ for $100, you use $30 to capture the people that trust me, anybody that drops their phone number or email address, right? The person has probably tried other method that is not working, and the person really just wants another method. Do you get my point, right? And so that person you're closer to closing that deal with that person than when you just try to continue to, spread yourself thin, if you get what I mean. So yeah. Yeah.
Can I also
Thank you.
quickly add? Thank you very much. I wanted to quickly add content marketing as well. Content marketing is literally selling without saying come and buy, by putting out useful information that your audience will literally find irresistible, right? So content marketing has been proven to be sustainable and cost-effective way to run your marketing without the typical spend. That's a tie. So thank you very much, TA. Any more questions? Feel free. You can actually unmute and ask your question if you're unable to type. But if you can type, please feel free. So she says, still Debo Africa. Dr. Zara says, we do a lot. Ladies follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. So she says her handle is Debo DEBBO _ Africa. I think we can do something. You can drop your Instagram handle in the chat box if you want other businesses to connect with you. That'll be awesome. I'm gonna give like 1 more minute for us to ask questions so we can wrap it up. Yes. And one more thing, I wanted to invite everyone to our business community. So at BODPay, we have a business community called Bodpreneur. It's growing and budding. If you want to be a part of it, we invite you to be a part of it. You can use the link in the chat box. And finally, wanted to say a thing or two about BODPay. At BODPay, we're a business payment solution provider. And I'm also going to just drop a quick link. Please feel free to check us out. You can sign up on BODPay for business payments. So if you want to collect payments